Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. The death of a 7-year-old boy, Avinash, from dengue after 5 Delhi hospitals turned him away has shaken the country's conscience. The story made even more tragic and heartbreaking after Avinash's distraught parents committed suicide. The little boy was turned away from one hospital after another, which said they had no beds. The story of Avinash only tells us what we have known and yet choose not to act upon, that our healthcare is in the ICU. It is crumbling and falling apart and we just don't get it. Well, as far as Delhi's dengue epidemic is concerned, the Delhi government today ordered an extra 1,000 beds for public hospitals to treat dengue patients following the suicide of Avinash's parents. Also, it turns out that the number of dengue cases in the month of September is possibly the worst ever.
Seeing the recent spurt of cases of dengue, it has been decided and the Delhi government has been told to increase its bed strength. At the same time, our central government hospitals also are underway to increase the bed strengths. We have received complaints about overcharging by private hospitals in Delhi. I have personally talked to the Health Minister of Delhi and I have asked him to take action against the private hospitals.
This is not blame game. अगर दिल्ली में कोई चीज फैल रही है तो हमारी जिम्मेदारी है उसको ठीक करना। और मैं तो ये भी कह रहा हूँ, आज हमारे ऊपर दिल्ली के अंदर काफी स्टेट्स के बाहर से पेशेंट आ रहे हैं डेंगू से। हम तो उनको भी मना नहीं कर रहे हैं। हम ये नहीं कह रहे हैं कि भाई वहां से क्यों आ रहे हैं, आप अपने अस्पताल में। हम तो कह रहे हैं आइएगा। अब जो आए हैं तो उनका इलाज सबका करना है। हमने पूरे हॉस्पिटल को ऑर्डर दिया हुआ है, कोई भी पेशेंट आता है आपको एक बेड पे 2 लिटाने पड़े तो भी मना नहीं करना है। हमने सख्त ऑर्डर दिए हुए हैं।
Well, it's not just a story in Delhi, it's also election year in Bihar, and a few days ago Nitish Kumar presented a 10-year report card for his government, speaking extensively about what he had done to improve the healthcare sector. But as my colleague Alok Pandey finds out at 3 different hospitals in a span of a day, there are many major issues that remain, including very few doctors and no supply of emergency medicine.
3 hours after surgery for sterilization, Sona Devi is lying on the floor of the Maxor Primary Healthcare Center in Bihar's Nawada district. 18 other patients are stretched out near her. Patients considered more critical are assigned the 6 beds that the hospital offers. Each of Bihar's 500 rural hospitals like this one is expected to treat 50,000 people, as opposed to the national average of 30,000. Sona Devi pleads with the staff for water. Doctors tell her she can't have any so soon after the surgery. In any case, the hospital has no running water. Water is brought in buckets from 300 meters away. Post-surgical medicines for these women are meant to be provided at no cost. But doctors say at least 4 crucial drugs used in post-surgical care and painkillers have not been delivered for months by the government's health department.
बाहर से कुछ लेना पड़ा? बाहर से लाया।
कौन सा? क्या दवाई कितना बाहर से लेना पड़ा? कितना पैसा लगा?
दर्द के लाया सुबह।
कब से पेन किलर की समस्या है?
2 माह से नहीं है।
2 माह से पेन किलर नहीं है।
टैबलेट है, इंजेक्शन नहीं है।
जैसे ऑपरेशन के बाद तो उनको लगता है सर इंजेक्शन की भी जरूरत पड़ती है
तो हम लोग परचेज करके मंगवा लेते हैं।
जैसे आपने जैसे पेन किलर नहीं है तो आगे आपने बताया नहीं, मतलब डीएम को या जो भी आपने
बताया हुआ पूरे जिला में इस तरह की क्राइसिस है।
The Bihar government says each primary health center, the 500 rural hospitals, either have or are within months of having 6 doctors in charge. There are 2 at this one. Bihar has just 30% of the government doctors needed for state-run hospitals. The national average is a shortage of 40%. 15 kilometers away at the Sirdalla Primary Healthcare Center, 28-year-old Ranjay Kumar says he's forced to lie out in the open with a drip because there is no room inside. Inside the hospital, it's the same story of patients on the floor, this time in unhygienic conditions. The Rajouri Primary Healthcare Center, 15 kilometers from Sirdalla, has 5 empty beds. The 6th is being used by Asha Kumari, admitted for delivery. The Bihar government says every patient admitted to its rural hospitals is entitled to 3 meals a day. Asha Devi hasn't been given any. Relatives have delivered meals to Asha Devi, but if she wants to use the bathroom, she has to wade through stagnant water to reach the only toilet, a stinking mess.
All the PSCs Prabhari have been directed that they should supply the medicines free to the patients. If there is any problem in those cases, I will look into it and take responsibility for the same on the MOICs. This is a state level problem. Actually, Medical Corporation was supposed to supply medicines to the hospitals, but tender has not been finalized at the state level, and we are purchasing it at local level. Actually, we went for the tender, but nobody turned out.
In the last 10 years, Nitish Kumar's good governance agenda has had a major focus on health, particularly at the basic level, which is the level of the primary healthcare center. But on the ground here in Nevada, there is enough evidence to suggest that much more needs to be done and that many more improvements need to be brought about before the Nitish Kumar government can actually claim this to be a success. In Nevada with Ashok Priyadarshi and camera person Habib Ali, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
And unfortunately, the problem of healthcare in India and the crisis that India's healthcare system faces is certainly not restricted to the Indian capital alone. Well, we have Satyendra Jain, the Health Minister of Delhi, joining us here in the studio tonight, where he'll be taking questions from an audience that has come here, particularly after this case and the disturbing questions it has thrown up. Dr. Vinod Raina is the head of the oncology department at Fortis Gurgaon, has worked with AIIMS in the past and therefore has seen both sides of the healthcare divide in this country. Dr. Devi Shetty joins us tonight from Bangalore. Also, Dr. Shalini Pandey, who's a consultant in pediatrics at the Batra Hospital, and she treated 7-year-old Avinash that night before he died. Dr. G.S. Grewal is president of the Punjab Medical Council. He joins us today. And Kapil Chopra, the founder of CharityBeds.com, an organization that's actually trying to work with underprivileged people who often get turned away from hospitals and face discrimination and don't get admitted into hospitals. Let me ask the minister first. Mr. Jain, what is the latest on these notices that you have sent out? Have any of the hospitals responded? What action can you take?
देखिए, हमने 5 हॉस्पिटल्स को नोटिस इशू किए हैं और जो नोटिस इशू किए हैं उसके बारे में हमारे मीडिया से ही पता लगा था कि जो भी 5 हॉस्पिटल में गए हैं उसमें 2 हॉस्पिटल्स ने मीडिया में ही बोला है कि शायद उनके पास पेशेंट आया ही नहीं है। तो आज हमने एसडीएम इंक्वायरी इनिशिएट कर दी है। तो एसडीएम उनकी सीसीटीवी फुटेज को देखेंगे, सारा रिकॉर्ड चेक करेंगे, तो इंक्वायरी के बाद पता लगेगा कि कहाँ पर गए थे, उनकी किसकी गलती है, जिसकी भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी उसको एक्शन लिया जाएगा।
किस तरह का एक्शन?
देखिएगा, एक्शन तो डिपेंड करेगा क्या उन्होंने गलती की है, उसके ऊपर करने को तो उनका लाइसेंस भी कैंसिल किया जा सकता है।
लेकिन सत्येंद्र जी, हम कुछ 1-2 महीने पहले इसी विषय पे बात कर रहे थे कि किस तरह से यहाँ जो हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, चाहे वो सरकारी हॉस्पिटल्स हैं या प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, कैसे वो लोगों को दे टर्न देम अवे। अगर कोई अंडर प्रिविलेज्ड है उनको ज़्यादा वो एडमिशन नहीं देते हैं। और जब आपने इस केस के बारे में सुना, व्हाट इज हैपन टू द हेल्थ केयर ऑफ द नेशनल कैपिटल?
बिल्कुल, आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं कि जो केस है बड़ा ट्रेजिक केस है। पहली बात तो हमने इस बारी डेंगू के लिए पिछले साल के डेटा के हिसाब से तैयारी की थी और जितना भी पिछले साल बेड थे, हमें लगता था क्योंकि साइक्लिक नेचर है, एक साल थोड़ा कम होता है, एक साल थोड़ा ज़्यादा होता है। इस साल हमने पिछले साल से 3 गुने बेड्स का इंतजाम किया था गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स में। तो वी हैव ऑलरेडी प्लान्ड फॉर 3 टाइम्स बेड्स और हमने सारे हॉस्पिटल्स को अपने ऑर्डर दिया हुआ है कि कोई भी पैनिक में अगर आता है, फीवर है, हेडेक है, उसको पैनिक है, तो उसको आप एडमिट कर लीजिएगा, टर्न अवे नहीं कीजिए किसी को भी, कोई भी पेशेंट है। और दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट के किसी हॉस्पिटल ने अभी तक किसी को भी टर्न अवे नहीं किया है। ये केस हमारे सामने आया है तो इसकी जांच की जाएगी और हमने 28 अगस्त को इस केस के होने से कई दिन पहले सभी हॉस्पिटल्स को, प्राइवेट और गवर्नमेंट, सबको एडवाइजरी इशू की थी, सबको ऑर्डर दिया था कि कोई भी हॉस्पिटल डेंगू के केस को मना नहीं करेगा।
लेकिन अगर ऐसा है तो अगर फिर मना क्यों किया? अगर कोई हॉस्पिटल किसी पेशेंट को बोलता है कि हमारे पास बेड नहीं है, वो क्यों बोल रहे हैं? नहीं, देखिए, क्या उनके पास बेड नहीं है कि वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं?
दोनों चीज़ें हो सकती हैं, ये जांच के बाद पता लगेगा। ये भी हो सकता है कि बेड ना हो, और ये भी हो सकता है कि वो, जैसे आपने कहा कि उनको लगता है कि गरीब आदमी है, शायद ना देना चाहते हो, ये भी हो सकता है। तो दोनों चीज़ों को जांच के बाद पता लगे, हो सकता है, दोनों ही चीज़ें हो सकती हैं।
मैं आपसे इसके बारे में और पूछना चाहूँगी सत्येंद्र जी, बट लेट मी आस्क डॉक्टर शालिनी पांडे, हु ट्रीटेड यंग अविनाश at the Batra hospital. Dr. Pandey, tell us, what state was this child brought to you? From what I understand, from whatever reports that have come out so far, by the time he reached Batra hospital, it was just too late.
Yeah, it was. Thank you, Nidhi, for giving me an opportunity to explain the whole situation to Delhi. This child came to us in a very critical condition, and we immediately shifted this child to pediatric ICU, where he was immediately given ventilatory support. He was put on ventilator, and all the necessary protocol was followed. The inotropes were started, fluid was given, and as late as the child was admitted around 11:30, his pulse was not palpable, the blood pressure was not recordable, and he was very lethargic. That means the brain also was on the verge of not working at all. So we had an access to IV line which had been given probably at Mulchand, and that was our lifeline, because that is where we were pushing in drugs, because we could not find any other IV access in that child. And then around 1:30 in the morning we were able to find a central line. That is when we could further give more fluids and more medicines that we could give, and that is when we were able to send the samples, but we could not do much for the child, and the child succumbed to his illness around 2 p.m. next day in the morning.
Would you say, Dr. Pandey, that a matter of a few hours made all the difference between life and death for him? If he had come to you or had been admitted to any hospital, say, some hours earlier, would that have been the difference between life and death?
Nidhi, this is a hypothetical situation. Certainly, if the child would have landed up early, we would have been able to do more, but whether the child was salvageable or not is just a matter of guess. But dengue this time, my personal experience is that it is very aggressive. It's a different strain which is going on around, and the mortality rate is very high. We are losing children this time more than what we have lost in past 3 or 4 or 5 years. As my earlier person was saying, this time we have seen much more surge of patients that we had prepared for, and I think private hospitals also and public hospitals are also facing a bigger challenge this time.
What did Avinash's family tell you about how they landed up in Batra? Did they tell you the details of how they were pushed around from one hospital to another that night?
I wouldn't say pushed around, because the child came with an IV line. He was brought in an ambulance accompanied by a doctor who handed over all the details to me. At no point did they ever mention that they were pushed around, and as far as money or any such matter was concerned, I don't think that was a problem, because the child already had an insurance.
Okay, Dr. Pandey, stay with us. I'd just like to open this up and look at the bigger debate that we're looking at. Dr. Vinod Raina, when you hear about this case, it's so utterly tragic. And you've seen, like I said, you've seen how it works in a big government hospital. You're now in private medical care. Why are we in such a crisis?
The basic problem has been underfunding for the last 30-35 years for the health services. There's just not enough money has been put in the health services, and you are seeing the results now. India spends less than 1% of GDP on healthcare, which is less than what Bangladesh and some other countries spend. So this is bound to happen unless the government invests much more in healthcare. This situation will continue for many, many years.
And when you hear about this particular case of this little boy being turned away from a hospital, now what do you think? Is it a genuine shortage that hospitals face? You tell us the truth. Is it a genuine shortage, or is it that they don't want to take in an underprivileged?
No, there is genuine shortage, because there is a sudden rush of patients. So there is a limit to what hospitals can do. But if the patient is critically ill, you can always find a bed for a patient. Either in ICU or in some other ward or other wards, you can always find a bed if the patient is deemed to be critically unwell.
And in this case, therefore, from whatever you
I don't know what the assessment was. If he was critically unwell, there is no reason for turning away the patient. You can always find a bed in the
hospital. And that is what Dr. Devi Shetty, that is what people find hard to understand. While we understand the strain that hospitals are facing, the strain that their infrastructure is facing, and the virtual collapse of it, how does a doctor, how does a hospital turn away a patient who is seemingly critical? Is it just misassessment, or is there at some level callousness as well?
First of all, Avinash is a 7-year-old child, so he needs to be treated by pediatricians. Now, children are not miniature version of adults. It requires a different kind of a skill set to manage, and pediatrician alone can't manage. You need to have pediatric intensivist. You need to have pediatric nurses. A country which produces 26 million babies a year, we only had 20,000 active pediatricians in the country. We need to have 2 lakh pediatricians. Now, the government promises to add more beds. Adding more beds, spending more money is not going to solve the problem. We need to have more doctors, more specialists, more nurses. Then only you can save this child. This child had insurance. There was no problem about the money. Why will private hospital turn away a patient who has got insurance? They simply don't have that many pediatric intensivists. They simply don't have that many pediatric nurses. Instead of trying to build robust manpower, we are talking about spending money and adding beds. It is not going to solve the problem. We have to understand the basic problem of healthcare in this country is shortage of post-graduation seats to train specialists to take care of these children. If you don't address it, no matter what you do, we will keep on hearing the same story year on year.
But Dr. Shetty, how do you also respond to the criticism that private hospitals, there's now a sense that people get that government hospitals are in a bad state and private hospitals are taking us for a ride. How do you respond to that, that perception that's playing out today?
See, I'm not talking the larger picture. I'm talking about Avinash who had an insurance which would have paid for the care. Now a private hospital, I don't know the real story, but I can only assume you have a patient who is covered by insurance. Private hospital, if they say we don't want to take care of him, that means they don't have that many beds to take care. It happens every time, whether in Delhi, Bombay, everywhere. When there is a dengue season, there are too many kids in the ICU. And today we are debating about not giving the bed. And if they gave the bed, if they couldn't give the adequate care, again we are debating that a private hospital admitted the patient but they didn't take care. How can you take care of the patient? 75% of the Delhi nurses disappear at the end of 1 year to Middle East. It takes more than 2 to 3 years to train these nurses. It is not the question of creating a bed in a private hospital somewhere in the hospital. You can create a bed, but someone has to be responsible. Someone has to have the knowledge to take care of these kids.
I think that's a very important point. You make a very important point, and I want to take that up. But first, I want to deal with this issue of beds, because Kapil Chopra, you've been working on this for a long time. What's the feedback that you get, especially in Delhi?
So we really realized there was a case in the Supreme Court, and I was just glancing through. My father used to be a doctor. We used to run a small charitable clinic affecting just 25-30 people. We saw this case by Ashok Agarwal, in which the private hospitals were directed to provide medical care to people. We just thought there was a great opportunity. I come from the private sector, personally running a hotel company, and I realized that a poor person, your maid, your driver, could not walk up in the fancy lobby of a great hospital and say that I need my bed. We just thought we will take care of the divide between the private sector and EWS and try and get people into healthcare. And that's what we really started with. When we started, so just to give you an idea, 650 hospital beds every day. Across 47 hospitals. That number keeps on changing, but I'm just giving you a ballpark idea. Every day, around 2 years back, 200 beds were occupied, 450 beds were vacant because it was very difficult, there was too much paperwork. To the credit of the government really, and to the credit of some officials in the Delhi government like Dr. Das, who really runs this program, they were really forthcoming. And when we met and met them, they said they were really happy to have somebody from the private sector come in and really deal. Today, the situation as it stands, 400 beds occupied. But 250 beds in great private hospitals still go vacant every day. And I think the reason they go vacant is basically a lack of awareness. Just look at the prominent locations that hospitals are in Delhi in terms of the government hospitals. All we need to do is put up big hoardings, tell people decongest the government hospitals and move to the private hospitals. Every day, 2 of my people, and they're here in the audience today, from 7 AM in the morning till midnight, that's what they do. They reach out to people, and everybody who's actually listening to this program, just give us a call. We've got 2 numbers on our website. Just give us a call. We'll take care of everything. All we need to know is there is a patient and we will try and get him to the private hospital. We'll get the entire paperwork. We take away the friction that a poor person faces when he goes for a hospital bed actually. Today the situation is much better. But there are hospitals who've actually gone to the judiciary which actually empowered this entire act and actually have taken a stay order. Apollo hospitals, B.L. Kapoor is a classic example of hospitals who got to stay through the judiciary and not fulfilling this duty. And I'm surprised, why doesn't the court really ask them, did you get landed concessional prices? And there are hospitals like Sir Gangaram, Max Balaji in Patparganj, Fortis Escorts in Okhla, who are really doing a stellar job and trying to help everybody who really
Many
comes
of
to
these
them.
hospitals have got landed concessional rates and are not following the EWS norms.
Yes.
And that is the problem. I'll get Satyendraji to talk about that in just a moment. It's an important point that you make. Dr. Grewal is president of the Punjab Medical Council, and he's travelled from Ludhiana to Chandigarh to talk about the problems they are facing there. Dr. Grewal, when you hear about Avinash's case, Now, it's very interesting. At one level, it's about the beds. At one level, it's about medical ethics. As Dr. Vinod Raina says, you have to have a bed for a critical patient, although we don't know what the assessment was at that time. But as Dr. Devi Shetty says, you just don't have the specialists to also treat patients, especially in this case, it's a child. How do you look at this?
Thank you very much for raising a very important issue of the health care in the private sector. This child, as I see it, he was being first for 3 days treated by a doctor. We don't know the qualification or something of this thing. Dengue as such is a curable disease, and the only ticklish point in the whole system is the hydration of the patient, whether it's a child or a fully adult person. And we don't know what went wrong with this child. Otherwise, the hydration, if kept wrong, and only the antipyretics, the paracetamol, something of that is given, nothing goes wrong. Anyway, that's the basic thing. But when the child is shifted to a hospital, Delhi, I was quite surprised on the remarks of the Honorable Health Minister. He says he read it from the newspaper. I thought Delhi would have some department of epidemiology settled in the health department of the Delhi, and they should be monitoring the situation on a daily basis. In my state, our Principal Secretary Health, everything is online and every hour recordings are there, and you can check it how many people are down with dengue and how many are critical ill or this and that. And Honorable Minister has said that he has come from the papers. It's quite surprising for me. And in Delhi is covered by an act called Clinical Establishment Act.
No, I want to just take that point that you made. You're saying you're surprised that the Delhi Health Minister wasn't clued in on this, and I want to ask Mr. Jain to respond to that, and also the other points that were raised, particularly about private hospitals.
देखिए, पहले तो मैं EWS बेड के बारे में आपको बता देता हूँ. जब हमारी सरकार बनी थी, जैसा कि आपने बताया है, उस टाइम पर ऑक्यूपेंसी रेट था 22-25%. हमारी सरकार ने उसके आने के बाद कदम उठाए. मिस्टर दास हैं, हमारे OSD हैं, उसको चार्ज दिया गया, और हमने सभी गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स में भी और प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल जहाँ पर फ्री बेड देने होते हैं वहाँ पे अपने ऑफिसर्स को नियुक्त किया हुआ है. सिर्फ अपोलो को छोड़ दीजिएगा. अपोलो में 239 बेड्स हैं, जाके आपने जैसे बताया है कि वहाँ पर दवाइयाँ नहीं देते हैं वो लोग, तो जो गरीब लोग वाकई में जाते हैं तो वो अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते. तो अपोलो में ऑक्यूपेंसी जो है वो 30% के करीब है. तो जितने भी बेड खाली हैं सारे के सारे ऑलमोस्ट अपोलो में खाली हैं, बाकी हमारे 90% से ज़्यादा ऑक्यूपाइड हैं. तो EWS बेड जो कि ऑक्यूपेंसी पहले 20-25% हुआ करती थी सालों से, हमारी सरकार के आने के बाद उसको 80-90% लेके जाएंगे.
यहाँ पे एक रिपोर्ट है मेरे पास, इसमें कहा है कि 27% ऑफ बेड्स इन प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल्स इन दिल्ली आर लाइंग वेकेंट. दीज आर मेंट फॉर EWS सेक्शन. मतलब ऑलमोस्ट 30%. ये तो बहुत बड़ा
बता रहा हूँ मैं आपको. उसमें से 239 बेड हैं अपोलो के पास, जिसमें से लगभग 150 बेड खाली रह जाते हैं, बिकॉज कि दवाइयों का खर्चा वो लोग नहीं दे सकते. उसका दवाइयों का खर्चा भी हज़ारों में आता है, सब लोग अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते हैं. कोर्ट के ऑर्डर हैं, वो जगह फ्री में दे रहे हैं, बेड फ्री में दे रहे हैं, बट दवाइयों का खर्चा वो लोग नहीं दे रहे हैं. तो इसकी वजह से ज़्यादातर बेड जो खाली हैं वो अपोलो में, बाकी जगह पर खाली नहीं है. ऑलमोस्ट 80-90% बेड्स हमारे सब जगह पर भरे हुए हैं. पहली बात. दूसरी बात, दिल्ली में क्लिनिकल एस्टेब्लिशमेंट एक्ट नहीं है. तीसरी बात, ऑनलाइन सिस्टम 1 दिन में या 2 दिन में नहीं बनता है. पंजाब सरकार ने हो सकता है पिछले 5 साल में 10 साल में बनाया होगा. दिल्ली सरकार इसको करने जा रही है, जैसे कि हमने पहले भी बताया था. पूरे सिस्टम को कंप्यूटराइज करने में इट विल टेक अनदर 1 ईयर. अभी कंप्यूटराइज सिस्टम नहीं है.
हमारे पास उदित राज भी हैं. ही इज़ अ लोकसभा MP ऑफ द BJP फ्रॉम नॉर्थ वेस्ट दिल्ली. एंड उदित जी, मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि ये ऑलरेडी एक पॉलिटिकल मामला बन गया है. वी ऑलरेडी सीन कि BJP ने बोला है कि दिल्ली सरकार ने कुछ नहीं किया, दिल्ली सरकार कुछ कह रही है. इजंट इट इम्पॉर्टेंट एट दिस टाइम, जबकि नेशनल कैपिटल में खासकर आप ये क्राइसिस देख रहे हैं डेंगू का, for both the center and the state to work together. कई हॉस्पिटल्स हैं जो सेंटर के अंदर आते हैं दिल्ली में, और बाकी हॉस्पिटल्स हैं जो दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट के अंदर आते हैं. Instead of a political blame game, is there a way we can work together?
No, it's a time to work together and help the patient. It's not time to make blames or blame each other. Well, let me tell you 2 things. One is that what all claims Delhi government has been making is now proving otherwise. And I've heard just conversations and from feedback and they said that they are doing much more than anyone else in the field of health. Where is that? And still the situations have not improved in government hospitals. And just now I heard about the Apollo hospitals. It's a namesake, there is a charity in Apollo hospital, but to my mind still the things have not been improved, and the poor people do not get aid and health support from that hospital. Number one. Number two is that in our country, in our society, it has been highly commercialized, and in private hospitals it's next to impossible for poor person to get the aid, and government hospitals are like that. There is complacency, and that sensitivity is not there. Of course, there is shortage of doctors in government hospitals and shortage of medicine. Of course, lack of other infrastructural facilities in hygienic conditions, all these are there. But I hold that sensitivity is missing. Last month I was in North Carolina.
Who's missing the sensitivity?
Let me tell you, doctors, mostly the doctors are insensitive. And last month I was in North Carolina, and most of them who interacted with me, those who are now meeting for me over there, were doctors. And they were Indian doctors. I will mention one doctor, Subhas Gumbar. He said that how come in India, though we come from India, doctors are allowed to open their nursing home, their hospital. In America, doctors are not allowed to run their hospitals. So what happened, that also shows that so much of course,
you're saying they're making money. You're blaming them for making money. Well, they also have a livelihood to earn. But before I get Satyendra Jain into this, I'd like to ask Vinod Raina as a doctor. I mean, for Mr. Udit Raj to say that doctors are mostly insensitive.
Not all the doctors. Mostly I have seen that.
You're saying most of them.
Homes,
is that a fair comment?
Charges are exorbitant. And you are not allowing me to complete. And I tell you, I will not name the doctors, I will not name the hospitals. There are the places, there are hospitals like that even the patient is dead, still they keep an oxygen ventilator just to extract money from the home from family members, and then after 2 days, 3 days declare that of course he is no more. And of course, like such, and common person, lower middle class cannot get treated in private hospital. They are so expensive.
You made a lot of important points. I think many people would agree that there is what they feel is unnecessary testing and absurd charges that you see in hospitals. But Dr. Vinod Raina, on those points, insensitive doctors, extortionists, hospitals being extortionists, just too expensive for people, private healthcare, is it out of reach for most people?
First of all, this talk about doctors being insensitive is not correct. Most of the doctors, I would say 95% doctors, are very ethical and very sensitive. Yes, there are some bad guys here and there. That is in every profession. So to call all doctors insensitive, I think is absolutely wrong. You get a lot
I'm not calling all doctors.
Well, that is what you said. That is what you said, that all doctors are insensitive.
No. Even in the government hospitals, if the doctors are sensitive, they can attend the patient, they can't turn away. Even in private hospital, though we have a shortage of doctors in our country, but that much number of shortage we have that they cannot attend such kind of urgent matters.
Vast majority of doctors
I still hold my view that insensitivity is there.